When people hear me discuss the dangers of religious faith, that is, belief that is not based on proof or evidence, they are quick to remind me that we all don't know what will happen from one moment to the next, and going through life requires a minimum amount of faith in our families, friends, co-workers, fellow citizens, national security, etc. Having said this, they feel they've both made a devastating argument against me and produced an example of precedence of my having faith. Apparently they assumed that I hadn't realized things about myself, that I don't know I had faith in things. That argument is nothing less than highly stupid. Although I do proceed in life with much uncertainty of each day's events, I wouldn't say that I necessarily have faith in everything, and I also have to point out that any faith I do have is absolutely not comparable to the faith of the religious and their gods. I don't exactly have faith in the public. I don't have faith in every driver to remain coherent and sober. I'm well aware of the constant possibility of a drunk or reckless driver ending my life. It's a chance I'm taking when I leave the house. Whenever I sit in an airplane, I have only very little faith in the ability and sobriety of the pilots and the integrity of the giant machine I'm sitting in. The rest is a huge risk that I'm taking, and I am well aware of it. My faith is dealt out to different people or things based on individual experience. But the people or things I have faith in don't receive my faith freely. My faith isn't unconditional. When someone I have faith in does something dishonest or cruel or otherwise bad, they've lost my faith. If a restaurant service slips, they lose business. If a hospital begins to constantly mishandle patients, they lose trust. If a company starts producing trusted products with lower standards, they lose their customer base. We all have our own personal instances during which our interactions produce disappointment, and we have to make a decision to stop trusting someone, to stop trusting something, to stop a usual activity, etc. When another party doesn't hold up its end of an agreement, we know that we have a good reason to cut it off. But despite all horror and suffering, and all the many reasons to abhor him, people still have faith in a God, the existence of which they're unsure of. They don't question him, and they don't know why. What they do know is that they're scared of him and his powers, and while they may be able to act courageous in circumstances against other people, animals, or even nature, they wouldn't dare act in any way other than cowardly when it comes to God, even when they feel he's acted unjustly. We detest jealousy, gluttony, selfishness, cruelty, hatred, violence, abusiveness, ignorance, destructiveness, murder, wastefulness, egocentricity, and inconsideration among each other. But the religious find just these characteristics in God when reading the Bible or Qur'an, and they remain in praise of him regardless. If the religious were simply selfish cowards who praise God, there wouldn't be much that would have to be said against them. But in their selfishness and cowardice, they shun, humiliate, degrade, cast out, torture, and kill others weaker than them in the name of this pitiful God of theirs. Even if I was stupid enough to have faith in something that there is absolutely no evidence for, I would at least have to have the decency to require the subject of my faith to be a subject worth having faith in and praising. I would also hold myself to a higher standard to not stoop to the level of a preschooler and blindly hurt others for my own selfish gain in the name of this God. I would especially hope that a God I praised would be respectable enough not to want his creations to go around killing or hurting each other. And of course, that would require him telling all of us more than once every 2,000 years. Maybe once for each generation would be more adequate. I have no faith in God not by choice, but because there's simply nothing to have faith in. It would seem that I would first have to know a God exists, then have enough information on him to have faith in him or not. Of course, that's a huge problem for the religious. What they are really telling us is that we need to have faith not in God, but in what they are telling us about God. God hasn't asked me to have faith in him. People have demanded that I have faith in him. And of course, the less evidence there is, the more demanding they get. Like I said before, these are the same people who hold themselves to higher standards in any other situation. Trust me, if there was a God, I wouldn't need faith. I'd simply know about him, and I wouldn't require people to threaten me with hell. Believe me, I would. Have faith in me. Come to think of it, Moses didn't have to have faith. He had regular chats with God, and then he went around killing everyone who disagreed with him. Remind you of today's religious people?